So today we are going to continue with our studies on this chapter. So the last question on this chapter is, few questions of this chapter is, you say that freedom is very dangerous to man. Why is it so? So Krishnamurti answers, why is freedom dangerous? You know what society is? So student says, it is a big group of people who tells you what to do and what not to do. Okay, uncle, from here you can start.
Okay. It is a big group of people which tells you what to do and what not to do. It is also the culture, the customs, the habits of a certain community, the social, moral, ethical, religious structure in which man lives. That is generally called society. Now, if each individual in that society did what he liked, he would be a danger to that society. If you did what you liked here in the school, what would happen? You would be a danger to the rest of the school, wouldn't you? So people do not generally want others to be free. A man who is really free, not in ideas, but inwardly free from greed, ambition, envy, cruelty, is considered a danger to people because he's entirely different from the ordinary man. So society either worships him or kills him or is indifferent to him. Student says, you said that we must have freedom and order, but how are we to get it? Krishnamurti, first of all, you cannot depend on others. You cannot expect somebody to give you freedom and order, whether it is your father, your mother, your husband, your teacher. You have to bring it about in yourself. This is the first thing to realize, that you cannot ask anything from another except food, clothes, and shelter. You cannot possibly ask or look to anyone, your gurus or your gods. Nobody can give you freedom and order. You have to find out how to bring about order in yourself. That is, you have to watch and find out for yourself what it means to bring about virtue in yourself. Do you know what virtue is? To be moral, to be good. Virtue is order. So you have to find out in yourself how to be good, how to be kind, how to be considerate. And out of that consideration, out of that watching, you bring about order and therefore freedom. You depend on others to tell you what you should do, what you should not look out of the window, that you should be punctual, that you should be kind. But if you are to say, I will look out of the window when I want to look out, but when I study, I'm going to look at the book. You bring order within yourself without being told by others. Student, what does one gain by being free? Krishnamurti, nothing. When you talk about what one gains, you are really thinking in terms of merchandise, are you not? I will do this, and in return for it, please give me something. I am kind to you because it is profitable to me, profitable for me, but that is not kindness. So as long as we are thinking in terms of gaining something, there is no freedom. If you say, if I get freedom, I will be able to do this and that, then it is not freedom. So you do not think in terms of utility. As long as we are thinking in terms of using, there is no question of freedom at all. Freedom can only exist when there is no motive. You do not love somebody because he gives you food or clothes or shelter, then it is not love. Do you ever walk by yourself, or do you always go with others? If you go out by yourself sometimes, not too far away because you are very young, then you will get to know yourself. What do you think? What do you feel? What is virtue? What do you want to be? Find out. And you cannot find out about yourself if you're always talking, going about with your friends, with half a dozen people. Sit at a retreat quietly by yourself. not with a book. Just look at the stars, the clear sky, the birds, the shape of the leaves. Watch the shadow, watch the bird across the sky. By being with yourself, sitting quietly under a tree, you begin to understand the workings of your own mind. And that is as important as going to class.
Okay. So, would you like to discuss this, what we have
Yeah,
read?
you see, he says, you bring yourself into order so that you can have freedom. So that is a slightly difficult subject. Freedom, as we understand, is something different. You like to do whatever you want. That's how we understand. But he says, you have to bring about an order without others telling you to do that. Like, for instance, he says, okay, when you sit in the class, you look out of the window, enjoy the scenery. But when there is a study, you stop that and come back and look at the book. This need not be told by someone else. We have to develop this passion ourselves. That he says is an order that will give you freedom. Same thing, you sit under a tree, you watch the bird, you watch the running water, and your mind is set free. That gives you freedom, rather than go with a set of people, make noise, then the mind won't think. So he says it is a sort of a semi-meditation he's advocating for you to get to some order, and in the process you get some freedom. Freedom is to think, and naturally when you think that you will be good to yourself, you will be good to others, you will be compassionate, you will be helpful, you will be obedient, and whatnot. This is a subject he brings. He wants the student to bring an order by himself or herself, rather than being told to do this and that. And he doesn't want you to be a member of a clan or society because they have a set of written or unwritten rules, and you cannot deviate from that, and your mind just blindly follows that cult or clan without freedom to think. So he's not advocating that. He says you have to be on your own. This is what he says. This is what I understand.
I think it's perfectly well understood. So let's go on to the next topic. The next chapter is on sensitivity.
Okay.
You can continue, sir.
Yeah, sure. Some of the teachers of this school were discussing with me the other day how important it is to be sensitive, how necessary it is to have a sensitive body and a sensitive mind. A human being who is aware of his environment as well as aware of every moment of thought and feeling, who is a harmonious whole, is sensitive. How does this sensitivity come about? How can there be a complete development of the body, of the emotions, of the capacity to think deeply and widely, so that the whole being becomes astonishingly alive to everything about it, to every challenge, to every influence? And is that possible in a world like this, a world where technological knowledge is all important, where making money, being an engineer or an electronic expert is assuming such importance? Is it possible to be sensitive? The politician, the electronics expert become marvelous human machines, but lead very narrow lives. They are sorrowful people having no depth in them. All they know is their little world, the world determined by their own field. A life that is held in technological knowledge is a very narrow, limited life. It is bound to breed a great deal of sorrow and misery, but can one have the technical knowledge, be able to do things, make a little money, and still live in the world with intensity, with clarity, with vision? That is the real question. Life is not merely going to the office day after day. Life is extraordinarily vital, important. And for that, you must be sensitive. You must have the sensitivity that appreciates beauty. You know, there is something extraordinary about beauty. Beauty is never personal, though we make it personal. We put flowers in our hair, have nice saris, wear fine shirts and trousers, look very smart, and try to be as beautiful as we can. That is a very limited beauty. I do not say that you should not wear that nice clothes, but merely that is not appreciation of beauty. The appreciation of beauty is to see a tree, to see a painting, to see a statue, to see the clouds, the skies, the birds on the wing, to see the morning star and the sunset behind these hills. To see such immense beauty, we must cut through our little personal lives. You may have good taste. Do you know what good taste means? To know how to combine colors, how to wear clothes, how to wear colors that jar.
To wear colors.
Not to say something that is cruel about anybody, to feel kindly, to see the beauty of a house, to have a good picture in your room, to have room with right proportions. All that is good taste, which can be cultivated. But good taste is not the appreciation of beauty. Beauty is never personal. When beauty is made personal, it becomes self-centered. Self-concern is the source of sorrow. You know, most people are not happy in the world. They have money, they have position and power. But remove the money, the position and power, and you see underneath an extreme shallowness of head. The source of their shallowness, misery, conflict, and extreme anguish is a feeling of guilt and fear. To really appreciate beauty is to see a mountain, to see the lovely trees without the you being there, to enjoy them, to look at them, although they may belong to another, to see the flow of a river and move with it from the beginning to end, to be lost in the beauty, in the vitality, in the rapidity of the river. But you cannot do all that if you are merely concerned with power, with money, with a career. That is only a part of life, and to be concerned only with a part of life is to be insensitive, and therefore to lead a life of shallowness and misery. A petty life always produces misery and confusion, not only for itself, but for others. I am not moralizing, I am just stating the facts of existence. The function of your teachers is to educate not only the partial mind, but the totality of the mind, to educate you so that you do not get caught in the little whirlpool of existence, but live in the whole river of life. That is the whole function of education. The right kind of education cultivates your whole being, the totality of your mind. It gives your mind and heart a depth and understanding of beauty. Probably the girls among you will grow up and get married, and the boys will have careers, and that will be the end. You know, the moment you get married, I'm not saying you should not get married. You have your husband, children, and responsibilities begin to crowd in like crows upon a tree. The husband, the house, your children become a habit, and you become taught in that habit all through your life till you die. You will be working in the house or going to the office every day. I wondered the other morning when I saw you all having a good time, what is going to happen to you all? Will you live a life with a fire burning in you, or will you become, for the rest of your life, a businessman or a housewife? What are you going to do? Should you not be educated to cut through respectability, to burst through all conformity? Probably I am saying something dangerous, but it is not, it does not matter. Perhaps you will give an ear, and perhaps this will sink somewhere into your consciousness. And perhaps in a moment when you are about to make a decision, this may alter the course of your life.
Okay, let's discuss this first. So he
Yeah.
has described what is sensitivity. Now he
Mhm.
has separated sensitivity from having knowledge. That is knowledge, technical knowledge, being aware,
Yeah.
being capable in any
Mm.
field.
Mm.
That is one type of skill or development in a human being. But
Mm.
sensitivity, he, by sensitivity he means being aware of everything, like right from the people around you, their emotions, their thinking, to the of course nature and everything. So he is saying that develop yourself wholly, not just one part, one aspect of your life, and then
Yeah.
not develop the other aspect and see what's going on. So
Yeah.
this is a nice way, because you see today, like you hear so many cases of scientists who don't take care of their physical body, they are sick. I,
Mm.
I was talking to a doctor today who has diabetes. So I was thinking, if she can't, control her own ailment, how can she
Mm.
manage other people? What is, so take people, and I feel that doctors are the most unhealthy people. If you see, whoever doctor I met, they're either obese, or they have had a stroke, or they have themselves had heart problems. So they drink, they can't cope with the hard work or whatever stress they drink, so they have ill health. Like I feel like overall that sensitivity refers to being aware of everything around you. So when you are aware of whether your action or thought or words are hurting another, so you're considerate, you're careful, you don't want to spread unhappiness, and you
Mm.
live a more less sort of a unified life. Your life is
Mm.
compartmentalized. Okay, one section is
Mm.
going to work, another section is at home, another section is with relatives. No, the whole thing is one large, once you become sensitive, you are not living from the past, you are living in the moment, and you are thinking in the moment, you are alive in a way. So
Mm.
that is what he says, is to cultivate that type of mind.
Mm.
What
Mm.
is your opinion?
Well, I think what emphasizes he stated it that right from the school days, you should not think about merchandise just to make money. You study, you invest, and get it back in the form of employment or professionalism. That alone is, he says, by becoming an expert, a technical expert, or whatever you are. He says that your function as a human being is not complete. Okay, you can have money, you get married, you have a family, you have a house, you have total responsibility, but you must have a freedom of thought, and you must something like keep away from all your acquired knowledge or profession to think about you first, and also your surrounding. If without that thinking, you become a sort of a slave. And once suppose these people at the time of attaining superanimation or something, their technical expertise alone is not going to help to
Mm.
settle down in life. You see, you also require you have to have a lifestyle, and independent of others. And if you are going to do that, live peacefully, then you must have your what you call your involvement with nature, your involvement with rest of the people. Here he somehow avoids a sort of society or clan, or he always avoids that, because they have it is like our group. You have a set of group, then you would like to think alike. No, he says individually you be away from all these influences,
Mm.
and you think you are just a man. You're just a man. You're You have to have a bond with nature, and you have to provide some time for it. And that will turn out to you. You bring an order, you get freedom, and then turn out to be, you will turn out to be a fine human being, appreciative of the nature and environment. I think that is what he is.
Yeah, nice, very nicely put. So let's continue, sir.
Yeah. Student, how is one to be sensitive, Krishnamurti? I do not know if you noticed the other evening, it was drizzling. There was a sharp shower. There were dark, heavy, rain-laden clouds. There were also clouds that were full of light, white, with a rose-colored light inside them. And there were clouds that were almost like feathers going by. It was a marvelous sight, and there was a great beauty. If you do not see and feel all these things when you are young, when you are still curious, when you are still indecisive, when you are still looking, searching, asking, if you do not feel now, then you never will. As you grow older, life encloses you, life becomes hard. You hardly look at the hills, a beautiful face or a smile without feeling affection, kindness, tenderness. Life becomes very dearly ugly, brutal, dearly ugly, brutal. And as you grow older, you will fill your lives with politics, with concern over your jobs, over your families. You become afraid and gradually lose that extraordinary quality of looking at the sunset, at clouds, at the stars of an evening. As you grow older, the intellect, okay, and having lost mathematics, as you grow older, the
Sorry.
intellect.
Continue, sir, continue.
As you grow older, the intellect begins to create havoc with your lives. I do not mean that you must not have a clear reasoning intellect, but the predominance of it makes you dull, makes you lose the finer things of life. You must feel very strongly about everything, not just one or two things, but about everything. If you feel very strongly, then little things will not fill your life. Politics, jobs, careers are all little things. If you feel strongly, if you feel vitality vigorously, you will live in a state of deep silence. Your mind will be very clear, simple, strong. As men grow older, they lose this quality of feeling, this sympathy, this tenderness for others. Having lost it, they begin to invent religions. They go to temples, take drinks, drugs to be awakened, to awaken this spontaneity. They become religious, but religion in the world is put together by man. All temples, churches, dogmas, beliefs are invented by man. Man is afraid because he is lost without a deep sense of beauty, a deep sense of affection. And having lost this, superficial ceremonies, going to temples, repeating mantras have become very important. In reality, they have no importance at all. Religion born out of fear becomes ugly superstition. So one has to understand fear. You know, one is afraid of one's parents, afraid of not passing examinations, afraid of one's teachers, afraid of the dog, afraid of the snake. You have to understand fear and be free of fear. When you are free of fear, there is the strong feeling of being good, of thinking very clearly, of looking at stars, looking at clouds, of looking at faces with a smile. And when there is no fear, you can go much further. Then you can find out for yourself that for which man has searched generation upon generation. In caves in the south of France and in northern Africa, there are 25,000-year-old paintings of animals fighting men, of deer, of cattle, They're extraordinary paintings. They show man's endless search, his battle with life, and his search for the extraordinary thing called God. But he never finds that extraordinary thing. You can only come upon it darkly, unknowingly, when there is no fear of any kind. The moment there is fear, you have very strong feelings. The stronger you feel, the less you are concerned about small things. It is fear that drives away ill, ill feeling of beauty, of the quality of great silence. As you study mathematics, as you have as you study mathematics, so you have to study fear. You must know fear and not escape from it, so that you can look at fear. It is like going for a walk and suddenly coming upon a snake, jumping away and watching the snake. If you are very quiet, very still, unafraid, then you can look very closely, keeping a safe distance. You can look at the black tongue and the eyes that have no eyelids. You can look at the scales, the patterns of the skin. If you watch the snake very closely, you see and appreciate it, and perhaps have great affection for that snake. But you cannot look if you're afraid, if you run away. So in the same way, as you look at a snake, you have to look at this battle called life with its sorrow, misery, confusion, conflict, war, hatred, greed, ambition, anxiety, and guilt. You can only look at life and love if there is no fear. Student, why do we all want to live? Krishnamurti, don't laugh because a little boy asks, when life is so transient, why do we crave to live? Isn't it very sad for a little boy to ask that question? That means he has seen for himself that everything passes away, that everything passes away. Birds die, leaves fall, people grow old, man has disease, pain, sorrow, suffering, a little joy, a little pleasure, and an unending work. And the boy asks, why do we cling to all this? He sees how people grow old before their age, before their time. He sees death, and man clings to life because there is nothing else to cling to. His gods, his temples don't contain truth. His sacred books are just words. So he asks why people cling to life when there is so much misery. You understand? What do you answer? What do the older people answer? What do the teachers of the school answer? There is silence. The older people have lived on ideas, on words, and the boy says, I am hungry. Feed me with food, not with words. He does not trust you. And so he asks, why do we cling to all this? Do you know why you cling? Because you know nothing else. You cling to your house, you cling to your books, you cling to your idols, gods, conclusions, your attachments, your sorrows, because you have nothing else. And all that to bring, all this you do brings unhappiness. To find out if there is anything else, you must let go what you cling on. If you want to cross the river, you must move away from this bank. You cannot sit on one bank. You want to be free from misery and you will not cross the river. So you cling to something that you know how miserable it is, and you're afraid to let go because you don't know what's on the other side of the river.
That's also.
It's something difficult, you know. He says if you cling on to your set pattern and you will not let go, you will not what you call nothing is going to help you. You will feel miserable all the time. So it's slightly difficult unless it starts from the young age. That's why he's advising students, you start now, otherwise you'll feel miserable later on. Now, you always find people or business like in life, you know, there is no smile. They keep just they're being selfish, and they just want to know something from you. That's all. There is no human touch. And even such people by themselves, if they are free from their acquired knowledge or whatever they attained in their life without thinking, just because of their qualification and experience, they will find that one day when they are bound to get old, they are bound to get some into some sickness or become helpless, be alone, something. In such times, these acquired knowledges are not going to help, or following a set pattern of doing things like there is a family deity you worship, or you go to temple, you join bhajans. When you do all this, you're in the midst of the crowd, you just repeat what others say. But when you're alone, these acquired knowledge or this acquired pattern of life is not going to help. So he says, you have a bond with nature, and that you find somehow you find time to bond with nature, and you admire the beauty of nature, even small things, and that will keep your mind free, and it will have a sort of a healthy setup, but you are able to think about yourself and get some peace in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the way I look at it is that every time Krishnamurti is asking you to think of everything like anew. Don't take up something and just voice another person's opinion of it. Think about the thing from your own mind and then come to draw a conclusion. So in every aspect, that's what he is saying. So he keeps saying this, that use me as a mirror to see your own life. So examine the things that are happening in your own life. What are your motivations? What are your thought process? What is your aim? What is your what you were like, identify the things that you are thinking, you are trying to achieve. Many people, they don't identify at all. Like even I don't identify that I'm aiming for something which is really not worth having. We just blindly go on aiming for something which is not worth having. We don't even identify that whether it is worth a worthy goal, that thing we are going towards. So because we are not looking at ourselves at all, we are just living for approval from society. If everyone around us is approving us, we are fine. If there is the moment there is the lack of approval, then we start questioning, we are upset, this that, and again we bring it back to old status quo of approval. So this is how, like, we have lived our lives. We've lived like very second hand lives, and instead of living like that dependent on other people's approval, we start thinking about everything from, why am I doing this, what is my purpose in doing this. Then you understand yourself better, you understand your motivations, and that. So this requires you, this is a kind, you're developing a kind of mind which is very different from what you were before. So unless this change happens, there is no point in studying Krishnamurti. Then he'll also just be another, like, you can just say very proudly that, I have understood something very difficult like Krishnamurti. So then we are wasting our time, because then we are doing it only for show off. Unless that change happens inside oneself, like where we begin to change.
So the mind is attuned to something, and the mind will ask for things to tally. Then it can be some unproductive work also. So the mind should be tuned. That's what he says, that you bring an order by yourself and you get freedom in the process. Freedom is the emphasize that freedom is not that I will do whatever I want, You sit in a class, yes, you have to study, but you can have you have to set an order by yourself. And you also require study, you also require a job, you also require to get married, create family, look after all that he's saying, but never leave this part, that freedom of thinking for yourself. What are we here for? Instead of just joining any bandwagon, okay, think about yourself, and you need not force it on others. It's always I always believe this: if somebody wants an advice, you give it. Otherwise, you don't give on your own, because we are not perfect people yet. But if somebody may seek advice as an experienced man, then you give it. That is what Vidur says in Mahabharata. Vidur Nidhi is so famous. Vidur is known to say this: you give an advice when it is sought, not on your own. This is how people are influencing others. They say we are in a problem, they will tell you, you do this, you do that. No, they don't have a solution themselves, but they will direct you or misdirect you, and you are into set of another improbable acquaintances or influences. Again, you have to come out of it. Our autism is a subject like that. We first accept. That's number one. First, you have to accept, and then the process starts. They are capable of certain things, they are not capable of certain things, so you don't impose on them. And you given your job as a parent is to give an environment, maybe protective environment. That's fine, because the nature of the condition. Now, if you ask somebody who doesn't know anything, they will just say, go to this temple, or you recite these lokas, or you see this sannyasi, like that. People or you go for a magic cure. People get misdirected because they don't think about this. When you say, if there's a life of condition, we accept, and we will not be influenced by all this. You can bring improvement on yourself as well as your child by being away from unwanted influence. This is what he's saying. Don't follow blindly what others do, but create an environment for yourself so that your thinking process helps you and the society. That's very important. You don't go by a set pattern. You don't. For that matter, he would say that no need to enter a street and fight for your rights. Because everybody is having some form of discipline. You don't have to abstract anything. You become a man who maybe somebody will come and seek your advice. You become clear. You become silent. You become silent, not provocative. You become silent. For that skill to develop, I will say a skill. It'll take time, but it is a sort of a semi-meditation, I think. That is saying you have a bond with nature. You find time. You find time. There is so many good things around you. Look at it, not look. Now, in Krishnamurti's time, probably there was no TV or smartphone, and maybe not much telephones at all then. But now you see, man is having more than one vehicle, or they have TV in every room, or they have phones in every room, they have smartphones, they have computers, they have laptops and iPads and earphones. It's difficult to see a person by himself now without gadgets. Now, you think about what Krishnamurti said, and think about now that the man is unable to free himself from all this, to come out and talk to people. And even if they go for a walk, they seem to be in a hurry. Just say good morning, keep walking. They want to finish the walk by 30 minutes and want to have your breakfast or your dinner. Their mind is tuned like that. He says it is going to drizzle, and people are in a hurry whether we should go for a walk or should carry an umbrella and come back, or we should go for a indoor walking. They don't look at the clouds. He says, look at the clouds, enjoy the nature. Maybe you can give up the walking for a day. You enjoy nature, the dark clouds and the passing clouds. So people don't do that. They just tune and they will get a call. I see half the people walking, talking on the phone only. They are not able to free the gadgets. I've been telling parents who seek my advice, the child is not listening. I think if you listen to the phone, if you're looking at the computer, if you're looking at the TV, why should the child look at you? You give up all that for some hours. Look at your child. The child takes time for eye contact, but that is a feature of autism. Then you talk in there, try to play with them, descend to their level, doesn't matter. And you establish some contact, they become friendly, there is somebody to take care part of the day. Okay, that's very important. And if you go about your business, the child can say, and I will carry on my business, and there is a meltdown, there's nobody going to help you. The meltdown has to settle by itself. You can't have things done. So you have to come away from the set pattern. Take time for yourself. Once your mind thinks, it will think good. You will do good to people. You will be good to yourself, and you will create a good environment. And maybe somebody will follow you. That's how you develop goodness in society, rather than just form a group and then go about without any clear ideas. It's worth considering that. I only think he's not telling you to go into deep meditation. No, he's only saying you sit for yourself, think free. Look up, look down, look to the right, look to the left, look straight into people's eyes. He doesn't say, close your eyes, sit. That he says, after you enjoy nature, you look at the hill or you look at the clouds. After that, just close the eyes and play back that scene. You will enjoy that more. Your eyes have captured something. That is where he says, close your eyes, enjoy that. This is needed every day for every human being. That is what he says.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well said. So thank you so much, sir, and see you next week then.
Sure.
Next chapter is on fear. So small chapter.
Okay. This week's it got postponed from last week.
Yeah.
Somehow I didn't find time to go through the script you have sent.
Okay.
And that's why a little bit of struggle while reading. But somehow I didn't find time due to this and that. Okay. Surely I should have done that, but somehow.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.